Greetings, you're listening to the Cold Call Lawcast, the Minnesota Law School podcast featuring students from the University of Minnesota Law School, the University of St. Thomas School of Law, and the Mitchell Hamlin School of Law. Welcome everyone to the Cold Call Lawcast. I'm Mitch, a law student at the University of St. Thomas School of Law, and with me are my co-hosts Hannah.
Hi.
From the University of Minnesota Law School, Anthony.
Hello.
From the Mitchell Hamlin School of Law, and Abby.
Hello.
From the University of Minnesota Law School. On today's podcast, we'll be talking about our law school classes as we just started our first classes for the year, and then we'll also be discussing some current events. So starting with the law school, and now that we're all in full swing, let's go around, kind of do a round robin of how everybody's doing in school. We all had, Abby and I are new 1Ls. We just had our orientation. Anthony and Hannah, you guys have, are into your 2L now. So just kind of wanted to get where everybody sits in their classes. If you had basically, what classes are you
taking? Front rows for suckers.
What was that?
I said front rows for suckers. I didn't mean it, though. You said where everybody sits.
I mean where... I meant it figuratively.
I know,
okay.
I know. It was a joke.
You got to sit in the middle.
Just checking. What classes you're taking, which classes you're most and least excited for, and if you're joining any extracurricular activities. So, Abby, if you wanna go first.
Sure. I had my first day of school today.
She's alive. She doesn't even have bruises.
I know. My spirit has not been crushed yet. I'm feeling pretty good so far. I finished my reading. One of my readings I did out of the wrong book, and then I had to do it really quick before class today. So
Wait,
that was
class?
That was for con law, actually. Yeah.
Nice.
You're right into that.
Case?
I read like a random Supreme Court case. It wasn't random, actually. It was like the really recent one from this summer about courts in California making crisis pregnancy centers post stuff about where you can get abortions in their clinics. So it was that one, but it didn't matter because we were not talking about that. We were talking about federal and state powers. So I was
if you're not reading Marbury versus Madison on like your first day, you're probably reading the wrong
we
pages.
read. I think it's like McCulloch versus Maryland.
Yeah.
So I sped through that one real quick. Easy read. Not really, but yeah, so that was good. I also took torts today and contracts, and then I have Civ Pro tomorrow, or civil procedure, if you guys are out there thinking about.
Which section are you in?
I'm in section E, section Erickson.
There's an E now?
There's E, there's F, so it's A through F.
There's 6 sections?
There's 6.
How many people are there?
Like 200 something.
Holy cow.
How many in each section then?
Like
they're smaller?
35.
Oh, yeah, they made them smaller.
Oh. That's cool. How big were your sections?
Like 45. We had,
dang, yeah.
There were only 4 sections last year. Yeah. Wait, so who are your professors really quick for those torts, contracts, and con law?
It's John McClanahan Lee is for torts. Con law is Morrison. He's kind of neat.
Heard of him, never had him.
Yeah, Carol Chomsky for contracts. And then Prentice Cox for Civ Pro. I still haven't had that class yet, so we'll see how that goes. But
cool. I didn't have any of them as professors, actually. So.
Oh, wow. So no advice here.
I
was
took
that because of the sections you're in, right?
Yeah. They have several professors that teach different things. And depending on the professor, you can have very different experiences. But I have heard good things about most of them.
Yeah, most of them.
Yeah. I mean, I have some, like McClanahan, I don't think I've heard of, but.
Yeah, he's been here for only 2 years, I think. He's super excited to teach 1Ls. He's very excited, which is super cool. He seems nice. So far, I like all my professors. Morrison was the only one who did cold calls today. He started class. No introduction or anything. We had to sit according to our last names in a seating chart and just walked up to the podium and was like, Mr. Smith, who is Mr. McCulloch and why is he angry? Just called out somebody immediately. But then just even after 5 minutes, he gave up cold calling people and just took volunteers. So
nice.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I think I like the volunteers better personally.
But
I always volunteer, so I don't know.
You're
that guy.
I'm that guy.
I tried to volunteer once, but then the moment passed, and that was it for me. That's why I need cold calls. So I pay attention. I don't know, but also it's just not that scary to me to be drastically wrong in front of people. So I don't know. It's not that much. I still, at this point, don't really get the hype for cold calling as like how scary it is. But we'll see how crushed I get in the future.
Wait till it's just like
my first
you
cold
and
call and then immediately destroyed.
Yeah. Sometimes you can have a bad one, and I saw some people have some pretty bad days after they had some bad cold calls.
Oh,
a good one can feel really good, but it's good attitude that you're going.
Yeah, I saw some bad ones where like a guy didn't even know what a dissent was. And so he was like really struggling like a minute, like trying to figure out what a dissent was. And it's like, I wanted to like, he sat right next to me too. I felt so bad for the guy. There
was a guy in one of my classes today, and he came in late, and the professor went up to him and handed him the seating chart afterwards, and was like, "Here, like, you want to sign your name on here?" And he was like, "I'm not actually in this class. I was supposed to be in a different class, and I came in here and it seemed interesting, so I just stayed."
Wow.
So I
Which class was that for?
It was in energy law, and which is in like 8 a.m. So
all right, I might do that as well if it was in energy law. All right.
Oh yeah, fascinating. But anyway, wait, Abby, any other? Did you see anything crazy? Did anybody throw up?
Nobody threw up that
fights?
I saw. Fights? No.
Did they feed you pizza?
They didn't feed us pizza.
They didn't feed
There was
you.
like no pizza today anywhere that I heard of.
Any like psychotic classmates? Anybody like threaten you yet or anything?
No. Does that happen? Do people like?
I neither
Hannah's
confirm nor deny.
Like, I will take you down. Yeah. No, not yet. There's like a few people. Like not really any gunners yet either. I learned what gunners meant last week in orientation. To be honest,
what is a gunner?
It's like a person who's just trying to show off and
like a Mitch.
Show other people down at the same time. Like,
yeah, I don't think Mitch is going to be putting anyone down. He just knows it all because he's very smart.
No, I'm just joking because you said you always volunteer. It's like the person who always is like me. It's a
and then like
teacher's
very
pet.
Long and elaborate and specific answers.
Hermione Granger. People have their hands up before the professor's done talking. Like, come on.
Yeah,
you
it's like
obviously aren't even listening if you don't wait for the question to be completed. Yeah.
Cool.
Overall, pretty good.
Anthony, how were classes for you? You actually did courses all over this summer.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
You did a negotiate. Am I right?
I took arbitration and mediation.
Okay, and do you want to talk about those and kind of the classes you're taking right now as well?
Sure. Well, for my summer courses, they're both Minnesota Rule 114 certification courses for mediation arbitration. So you only needed a certain amount of hours to get credit for it. So both arbitration and mediation were week-long courses, but they were every day and like for 4 or 5 hours a day. And then it was just a long paper at the end. So it wasn't really anything too stressful, just making sure that you took all the notes and then you write a 20-page paper at the end. It wasn't a big deal. I'm on my week 3 of classes right now, so I've already been in class for fall semester already. So it's been kind of full swing, just right into the mix. I mean, professors started right back up where they were. Right now I'm taking civil dispute resolution, which is pretty much civil procedure, constitutional liberties, which is the second half of constitutional law for powers, and then I'm also taking evidence. So 2 of my professors for evidence and for CDR, they are former judges, and then my other professor teaches con law, or the liberties portion of it. And they are very, very interesting. Both the judges that teach the courses are very well known, so they kind of have a reputation, both tenured at the school. For my evidence class, actually last semester, he had a stroke during the middle of his spring semester, so he was supposed to take time off, but he came back pretty quick, and people were like, maybe you should rest some more.
Take a semester off.
Take a semester off, but I mean, and I think that kind of has a impact on how he's been teaching this semester. He's been very scattered. He's a very energetic professor, super ADHD, which is really crazy. He has the strictness of a judge, the ADHD of a child, and he has he's old. He has the intimidation of an old person. I mean, old professor who knows everything, has been tenured. So that whole combination, it's just you don't really know how to feel in class. I know, the first day in class, I walked through the door, and all of a sudden I hear him say, "Anthony!" I was like, "Yes." He was like, "Hello." And then that was it. But he was shouting my name and everything like that. And then we get to we'd start class, whatever, and he starts the lecture off, and he's just like, "You're all late, And he went through a 10-minute spiel about attendance and being late and blah, blah, blah. And he's dropping F-bombs everywhere. He's yelling at people.
Wow.
And like even if you're whispering or like you look over to your neighbor or whatever, he gets distracted. He's ADHD brain. So he'll stop the entire class, yell at you and say, "Did you have something to say?"
And he's a judge?
He was a former judge.
A former
Yeah.
judge?
Yeah. And so that was very intimidating. And then, so that was week 1. And then week 2, there was a classmate that wasn't there on week 1 because he had something else going on. And he didn't know about the late policy or, showing up tardy. So he comes in there and the judge makes him stand up and he has to apologize to the entire class for being late. And so he stood up and he didn't know the protocol. So he's like, "I'm sorry, Judge, for wasting 20 seconds of your time," because he showed up 20 seconds late. And
Ooh, that's not something I would say to a judge.
Oh, and he was just like, "You can take that chicken shit out of here, or you can cut the fucking bullshit." That's what he said.
Wow.
And he was like, "You could say it again right." He's like, "I'm sorry for being late, Your Honor." He's like, "That's good. That's all I ever asked for you." And then he sat down. But I was like, holy shit, this guy is intense.
Boy, no kidding.
This is evidence?
This is evidence. So, I mean, it's very interesting law in itself. And then
So don't be late is what.
don't be late.
don't
And
be
then
late
if
for
you
that
sat in the
class.
front
A lot
row,
of sadistic late policies.
if you sat in the front row or if you sat in the back row, he made you stand up and face the class and speak whatever you had to say. So this goes back to the Hermione Granger, Mitch, teacher's pet kind of
Okay.
always raise your hand. There was a guy who would always raise his hand and he would stand up every fucking time. So we'd all have to wait for him to stand up and then make a stupid little speech or comment and then he'd sit back down again. I'm like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah, that would be really annoying. Yeah.
And he would just stop the class like every 5 minutes to do that. So that was that. And then last
I
class
am not
had.
that guy, by the way. Just to let you know, I'm not that guy.
You're not the only one standing right now
And then the same
in this room, which
Okay.
is
the same professor
That's
also
not happening.
assaulted me last class. He just walked up to me, and we were talking about something, and then all of a sudden he grabbed my shirt, lifted me up, and then he was like talking
Actually,
about something.
That's
That's
a
a
battery.
battery,
That's a
Mitch.
battery.
Come on.
Criminal. It's criminal.
Oh,
Come on, get it right.
well, so you wouldn't launch a tort against?
You could do it. It would be a battery, but it's also criminal assault if
Okay.
you want to put it that way.
Okay.
Don't worry, you'll learn about it. But he just grabbed me and then he lifted me up and he said, "That's why I should pay attention." I was paying attention, stuff like that. It had nothing to do with the relevancy of the course that he was teaching. And I was like, okay, whatever. I guess I consent. So I gave him all the power. But yeah, that's a really, really interesting way to start off my 2L year.
Boy, no kidding.
So, yep. There you go, guys. Enjoy it.
So, classes with judges are the most.
They're very
fun,
strict.
Do you have to call him judge? Not
We
like
call
professor or
this
something?
professor judge, but we call the other judge professor.
Oh, if I were a judge at any point, I would make sure everybody calls me judge
Right.
all the time.
A lot of them do, like
Yeah.
even retired judges. They're
Oh,
judge
definitely.
forever.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Just like you can always be called, if you're the governor of a state, you can always be called governor anytime.
Or
Mr.
president.
President.
Or president, yep.
Or dolphin trainer.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
would.
even know that was true, but Abby said, yeah.
I think so. I mean, why wouldn't you go by that title? For the
Scuba
rest of your
master.
life?
How long
Dolphin
does scuba
trainer.
master last?
I think dolphin trainer is much better.
Yeah. Hello, dolphin trainer.
Yeah.
So, Hannah, speaking of dolphin training, how was your first full day of class?
Oh, nice segue.
It was good. It was actually so happy to be a 2L. Not, anything. Well, I have some things against 1L, but
Something
You guys
against
will learn
one,
about that.
Something against 1Ls in general, or just being a 1L?
oh, just the year. I'm just much happier to be where I am right now. It's getting to pick your own classes is a huge difference. I mean, all of the 1L is kind of amazing in that you're exposed to so much new stuff, and it's really important and foundational. But I'm taking things that I'm really interested in now. So I'm taking environmental law, I'm taking energy law, I'm taking land use planning. I'm on the Journal of Law, Science, and Technology, and then I'm doing a clinic course, which a clinic course is
Okay.
where you're a student practitioner of law. Basically, you get to work with real clients and stuff. And they're run by the U.